1470 WOCA. Ocala.
All right, 25 minutes before 11 o'clock. Thank you for tuning in this Thursday morning. I have a favorite photograph that I want to tell you about. The favorite photograph I have is a photograph I have of my son. He may have been 16 or 17 years old at the time. No, he must have been younger than that. Maybe 15 or 16. Anyway, the mid-teens or somewhere. And in this picture, he is soaking wet. He is standing in about maybe 6 inches, maybe even more than that, of water. Okay, he's standing in water, and he's smiling. And it's my favorite. It's one of my favorite pictures because that was where we were camping. All of a sudden, we went on this camping trip to the Grand Canyon. And about halfway there, we were set up at this campsite, and it started raining. And usually a tent can handle the rain, but that night, the tent came down. The rain was so deep, it was unbelievable. And at that moment, well, no, not at that moment, but after the whole trip was over, and even to this day, it occurs to me, you know what? The best part of that trip was not the destination. It was that which looked like a disaster. It became one of the best times. It became one of the most connecting times for me with my son. It was just a beautiful time, something we still laugh about to this day. And it is interesting how things sometimes happen for us. God sends us on a trip, and it wasn't the destination after all. It wasn't the Wizard of Oz we were supposed to see. It was the friends we made along the way, the things in the middle. Charlotte Gambill is on the phone, and she's written this beautiful book. It's called The Miracle in the Middle, Finding God's Voice in the Void. And she's on the phone, I believe, in England somewhere. So let's just say hello to her. She has a passion to build the local church and to see people reach their full potential. Pastor Charlotte Gambill. Good morning, Pastor.
Hello, nice to speak to you guys.
Where are you in England?
I'm in Yorkshire, the very beautiful part of England.
Yorkshire, all right. It's beautiful. Well, thank you. And you have a church there?
We do, yes. My husband and I pastor a church out here in the UK.
Oh, excellent. So tell me about the idea for the book. How did you come up with the idea?
Well, I think the book actually was born out of a frustration that I was feeling, I think, from pastoring for many years and doing life with lots of people. I began to notice this kind of zone that people would enter, which became like this, almost like the Bermuda Triangle of life, which I've termed the middle. And what I mean by that is many people in life, we all have a journey, whether it's our journey in marriage or raising children or a business or something we step out to do. And I noticed how everybody at the beginning is full of vision and faith and has a sense of, they know where they're going and what they want to achieve. And at the end, there's something that comes with that completion, the joy, the celebration of the graduation or whatever it is that you're completing. But then there's this huge area in the middle where many people get lost, and they actually never make it to the end zone. They get lost because of disappointment or a sense of failure, or they just don't feel the same enthusiasm they felt at the beginning, this middle area. But the truth is, many of us live in those middle moments many times over, and I wanted to write a book to stop people from kind of slipping through the net, as it were, and stop people giving up and quitting way too early, and say, hey, there's some miracles in the middle if we could only open our eyes and see them.
Oh, I love that. And I hope you could hear my story about my camping trip, because it's sort of what happened there. We could have given up. We could have said, the tent is ruined. We're done. We better go back to Florida. But we kept going.
Right. And that's why I wrote the book, because oftentimes the best adventure, the best discovery oftentimes, I've written in the book a line in there that I think has become a catch-on line for many that have read it, that in the middle is actually when you discover what's in the middle of you. And I think the truth is that middle moments in life actually reveal the true essence of who we are. It's in those moments we find out, well, do you really believe what you sang, in a service? Do you really believe what you read? I think the middle is a great revealer of actually how deep we do believe and actually how much trust we do have.
I like one of the quotes stood out for me personally. It said, "The places where our faith is most tested are the spaces where we have to give God some scope." I had to read that those paragraphs to really understand what it meant.
Yes, absolutely. I think the area where you are less in control. I mean, let's be honest. A lot of us are control freaks at the core, and though we say we'd like to hand over to God and let Him have control, usually that control is defined in the boundaries that we've already determined we would like to be in or are comfortable in. And I think the middle is where you can't feel the last shore of your last success. You can't see the last breakthrough anymore. You've moved further enough away from that. And you also can't see the next shore where it is that maybe you're heading and what it is. And so it's this undefined area, which is the scope that you must give God in order for Him to be God into your life and speak things into your life that you only hear in the middle and you only discover in the middle.
The discussion we're having so far is as if we were only alone, if we were one person, but a lot of times we go through life with somebody else or with more than one other person. And in all of our lives, we've probably had times where somebody who you thought was going to be with you the whole way decides to bail out. And it's the halfway point and they're done and you're not. At that point, you have to make a new trajectory. You have to have a new destination.
Yeah, I think it might not be a new destination, but it might be a new way of going forward. You know, Jesus didn't change his destination when Judas betrayed him, but Judas made a decision in those middle moments that he was going in a different direction. And I think one of the hardest things sometimes for us to do is to not question everything about the direction we'd set off in just because other people are questioning it. And I think that's why I stress in the book that, you know, before you head off from that shore, you need to know what it is that you believe, and you need to know why it is that you're setting off in the first place. And I think we've got to come back to that place where, well, why am I doing this and why did I commit to this? Because often your why is not the same person next to you's why. And all of us find that out in the middle. Some people are just not made for the long haul. Some people are short-term traveling companions, but you didn't know that until you set off, and you only discover that. You know, some people have got a marathon in them and some people have got a sprint in them, but you don't know that until you've set off on the sprint or the marathon. So sometimes some of the discoveries in the middle are actually people we thought were going long haul with us are not. And, you know, there's sadness sometimes, and it's hard to let go, but also in that is a release for you to not feel you've got to drag everybody with you.
Oh, wow, that's very, very insightful and very true. Did any of that happen to you personally?
Oh, yeah, sure. I mean, there's many times in my journey, especially in leadership, where you set the vision and you say, this is where we're going and this is what we're going to do. And, you know, everybody's like, yeah, that's amazing. And you set off with great excitement because the vision is exciting. But, you know, you can be 3 years into the vision and, you know, we've got to raise funds and we've got to commit, and maybe it's a building project or maybe it's something that's a lot of hard work in those middle years. And you find then those that actually were committed to the exciting part, but not so much committed to the part that's the work part. I think all of that shakes down for all of us in different areas of life. And I think that journey is our maturity in the middle. People have to mature, otherwise they go backwards.
You know, and bringing God into this discussion, I mean, how many of us decide to do something and then it starts to get rough and you say to God, I hope this is what you want, and we're really not sure. We don't really know all the time. Sometimes I guess we're sure, but a lot of times we don't know what God wants.
Yeah, I think sometimes we would like a lot more information than God is forthcoming and giving us. Yeah. That's where trust comes in. And I wrote the story, the book around a story in the Bible. It comes back to on several points, which was the story when Jesus said to the disciples, who by now should have known him well enough, he was on the shore after doing a miracle of feeding 5,000, and he said to them, I want you to get in your boat and I want you to go to Bethsaida and I'll meet you there. And the Bible records that they got in the boat, which was something they were used to doing. They were used to getting in a boat. But when they got, it says, to the middle of the lake, the storm began. And, you know, the enemy's not daft. He knows that it's in the middle points that we're the most vulnerable. In the middle is where we are most likely to start to go backwards instead of forwards. In the middle, we feel a little bit isolated. And they had their panic moment in the middle, but in the middle is where you've got to remember who it was that gave you the instruction on the shore. You've got to go back to the thing of, okay, God, though you didn't give me all the directions, you did tell me where I'm heading. And that you didn't tell me the storm was coming, but you did tell me I would meet you at the other side. You've got to go back to however small that piece of information was. You just got to stand on it and stand firm. That's where trust kicks in. And that's where our true faith begins to show up.
That's a powerful message. I appreciate you saying that. Pastor Charlotte Gambill, we already went a little bit over, so let me be real quick. I have a copy of the book. It's called The Miracle in the Middle. Call me if you'd like the copy that was sent to us. Pastor Gambill, give us a website so we can get the book.
Well, they can find out more at Gambill.com, and they can also get the book at Thomas Nelson, Barnes & Noble, or Amazon, any of those places.
Okay, and we'll make sure we put that information on our Facebook page. Pastor Charlotte Gambill, thank you very much. Come back, please. I think she's gone. Yeah. All right, we'll be right back.
The weather is brought to you by myfwc.com. Safe boating is no accident. For today, clouds and some intervals of sunshine with a couple of showers and a thunderstorm around into the evening hours. Today's high 86 to 90, and partly cloudy later tonight, low 70 to 74. Tomorrow, a mix of clouds and sun, high 88 at the coast, 93 inland. Saturday, partly sunny. There may be a thunderstorm, especially in the afternoon, the high 88 at the coast, 94 inland. From the Florida Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Joe Lundberg.
Are you tired of not using your home's outdoor space for entertaining or relaxation because of all the bugs and leaves? Consider adding a beautiful screen room or glass enclosure. We are Superior Aluminum and Design, a family-owned and operated business with 20 years experience in the aluminum industry, and we are accredited by the Better Business Bureau. If you appreciate superior workmanship, call Superior Aluminum and Design at 817-8058 or visit us on the web at superiораluminumdesign.com.
Is your credit headed in the wrong direction? If so, Florida Credit Union can help turn it around. If the signs are reading missing payments,